Hey there, welcome back to my channel. This is Barley's Bookshop, and I am Steven. And we just reached the end of another year. We are starting a new year. It is 2026. And as everyone else did, I put together my top reads, my top 10 list. I did a top 25 of 2025, and I did all those posts and did those videos over on my book talk. I think it's like, some sort of bookish law or, rules that we all have to follow, right? That we all put together our top reads kind of list. So, and I've done that, but here I just wanted to focus in on 5 reads from last year. 5 books that I read in 2025 that were unforgettable. So 5 unforgettable reads and 1 rather forgettable read. So that's where we're headed, and I appreciate you guys being here. I'm new to this community, so if you could take a moment to like my video and subscribe, and I would be so happy, because I sure love talking books and everything literary with you wonderful people. So let's get into this without any further ado, right? 5 unforgettable reads from 2025, and then 1 forgettable. Let's start here. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. And this was one of my early reads from 2020. I think I read this almost exactly a year ago in January of 2025. And it stayed with me all year long, and ended up staying in my kind of top reads of the entire year, because this book, wow, unforgettable, right? That's the theme of this video. Books that were just unforgettable. I have not, nor will I anytime soon, forget about Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. And the other thing about Razorblade Tears is this was my first book, my first S.A. Cosby book. And I picked this up and I read it, and it has so much adrenaline and so much just grit and so much is that a word? It's so much. That's when I read S.A. Cosby's books. I just have this the thing I love about S.A. Cosby, and just so you know, once I read Razorblade Tears, I was hooked. I'm in, right? I was in. So last year during 2025, I read all 5 of S.A. Cosby's books, and so just whenever I read his books, while I'm reading it, I kind of feel like really cool for a moment. And then I put the book down, and then I'm me again. This book's unforgettable because it's Ike and it's Buddy Lee, 2 very different individuals, right? Ike, this black man coming from a really tough background, turning over a new leaf, kind of just trying to make things good and running a successful business. And then there's Buddy Lee, this kind of down home southern white guy. These 2 guys probably aren't gonna ever kind of share a drink or share a cup of coffee, but because of a really tragic, unfortunate incident involving their sons, they partner up to get justice. This book is unforgettable. So incredibly well written. God, I love Razorblade Tears. If you haven't read Razorblade Tears, you just gotta. You really need to, because it's so good. Let me go on to my next one here, and that's Babel. Okay, unforgettable book. I love, and this was my first book by R.F. Kuang. And I've only read 2 of her books now. So Babel was just unforgettable. We have the story of a young boy when the book starts named Robin Swift, who becomes an orphan gets adopted by a professor from Oxford University, Professor Lovell, and he takes him under his wing and just educates and teaches him everything of Latin and language and just preps him. Then one day Robin goes to Oxford and is a part of the very distinguished Royal Institute of Translation. This book is so great because it talks about language, just etymology, words, definitions, translations, and then of course the storyline itself deals with colonization and ethnocentristic, racist, things that we have just deep inside of us. Such a great story. Babel was one of my top reads from last year. I loved it so much. All right, so let me move on to my next one. I dropped it, so I had to pick it up. Okay. Oh gosh, have you read this book, guys? Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. Unforgettable, to say the least. And when I say Betty by Tiffany McDaniel is unforgettable, it's just because it crushed me. This story is really heavy, really hard to read and digest. We love talking about, check your trigger warnings. I mean, as if we get paid $1 every time we say that. I think it kind of goes without saying, if you're a reader, if there are things that you need to be aware of, hopefully you always do that. But yeah, with Betty, that's definitely the case. This book is unforgettable. Betty, her dad, his name is Landon Carpenter. He is of Cherokee descent. Betty's mom is white. Betty has siblings that are all fairer skinned than Betty, so she tends to take the brunt of racism, not only from the outside world, from the school, but also from her own siblings, one particular sister, to be specific. And this story is so unforgettable. The language in this book is so beautiful. Just the prose, the writing style, setting is Southern Ohio, Appalachian setting. All these things make Betty an unforgettable story. I can't miss. Every time I recommend this book, I'll always add, but be ready. Be ready for what you're getting into, because as unforgettable as Betty is, it's also equally heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, disturbing. It will stay with you. It's a stare at the wall. It's a stare at the wall when you're done kind of book. So next in my unforgettable books of 2025 is Lonesome Dove. I know people talk about this book, but it's okay. The more people that talk about this book, the better, because Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry is just everything a novel should be. Everything a novel should be. Had I read a Western before Lonesome Dove? No. Have I read a Western since Lonesome Dove? No. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I want to read the prequel or the sequel. I don't know. There's just something so special about Lonesome Dove. And we get to know Augustus, Gus, as he's in the book. And we get to know his partner, Call. And Gus and Call, and what makes them, they're so different. And their dialogue and banter is so funny. And then we get to know the Hat Creek gang and this whole like journey from Lonesome Dove up to Montana. And from Lonesome Dove to Montana, how many things and storylines and heartwarming, heartbreaking, unforgettable things happen. Lonesome Dove is, to me, like top tier when it comes to character development. When it comes to dialogue, it's so real, so easygoing, so believable, so natural that, you get to the end of this very, very big book. And if you're like me, you put it down like, no, it can't be over yet, because I didn't want to say goodbye. I didn't want to say goodbye to to these characters. And along the way, things that happen, you just feel the pain and you hope with them and you wish for them and you want them to all succeed and be okay. It's because Larry McMurtry just does a masterful job of developing these characters in Lonesome Dove. An incredible job of dialogue. A setting that you can see, that you could taste, that you can smell, like you're there on the trail with the guys. This book is so good. Definitely one of my unforgettable books of 2025. And so let me show you one more, and that's Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. Homegoing, to me, is an instant classic. I am confident that in years to come, a decade from now, 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years from now, Homegoing is going to be looked upon as a classic. It's that good. It's that brilliant. And here we have two sisters in Ghana. They don't know about each other. One marries into privilege and wealth. One gets sent into imprisonment and sold into slavery. How that affects their life, then their lineage and their descendants. This book is written in this, generational. Each chapter is a different generation. I cannot wrap my mind around what Yaa Gyasi did in this brilliant book, and how each chapter is its own tale, it's its own story, but yet it connects to the previous and to the next one. Oh my gosh, this Homegoing is a must read, can't miss, completely unforgettable book for me of 2025. One of my absolute top reads. I should just end there, right? I should just end on a positive note. Now, one book I have to point out that was pretty forgettable, and it's by an author I just talked about, Catabasis. Yeah, this one didn't do it for me, and I think what Catabasis taught me is sometimes you just have to wait until the hype dies down. I will tell you what, Catabasis, the premise of this book, the premise is unforgettable. It's just the book kind of left me wanting more. It was a very meh book for an incredible setup. And coming from R.F. Kuang, after reading Babel, I thought this was going to be just a knock it out of the park home run. And here we have a story of these two students who have to go into hell to save their professor and say, oh my gosh, I'm like, that's amazing. What a great premise. And I just had visions of rock star, like rock concert, and I got like a really watered down boy band. I guess. So Catabasis is definitely kind of one of my bigger disappointments of the year. So I will say this is my forgettable book of 2025, but Homegoing, unforgettable. And Lonesome Dove, and what else do I have here? Betty, definitely unforgettable. And then we will end with good things about R.F. Kuang, because Babel's definitely unforgettable, as well as Razorblade Tears. Those are my 5 unforgettable books of 2025, with one forgettable one. What did you guys think, guys? Did you read any of those 6 books I mentioned? We could keep it on the positive side. Did you read any of the 5 that I mentioned that were for just absolutely unforgettable books of 2025? What did you think about them? What am I missing? What book did you read during 2025 that was just unforgettable, that you loved so much that you think that I should read as well? Hope you guys are doing well. And here we are. Happy New Year. So let's enjoy what you're reading, and I look forward to sharing all these, these book recommendations with you guys. So thank you for being here and watching this video. And hey, read a good book and have a great day.